666 clear to land, runway 04, surface wind 1007 knots.
Clear down, was it 4, 5 stars, 666.
Landing checklist.
It was my idea, basically. It went back to something I did for an album called Skunkworks, one of my solo albums, when we actually took a very much smaller airplane with little propellers on it, little piston engines on it, and we went and bashed our way around the US. And I thought, wow, why couldn't you do this on a bigger scale?
But I think his real purpose in coming up with the idea is so he got two wages, one to be a singer and one to be a pilot.
We were asked to go to Australia in '08, and we hadn't been there for a long time. We also wanted to go to South America. So if you think about doing Australia maybe somewhere on the way, and then around South America, by scheduled airlines nowadays, with all the security precautions and everything else, and the way it's very hard to link up the freight and the flights efficiently, then it just seemed to be a good idea to see there's some way of doing it.
So I offered up this idea of an airplane, and I thought, well, can we get enough gear in the holds to make it viable? And it became pretty clear that we couldn't. And I said, okay, so why can't we use the back end of the airplane? Take the seats out, and we put a big cargo net in.
The idea of the splitter bus in the air just seemed to be ideal if it could be done. And so we went to quite immense logistics and bureaucracy to get it done.
The main thing that has completely changed the dynamic of our regular touring with Iron Maiden is the fact that we're flying everywhere on Ed Force One.
Working out the logistics of, once we get to the country, how we get into the venues, how we get into the hotels. And all of that is all planned in advance as well, which Steve Gadd does for me.
From the minute we land, you get away from the airport where there's up to 1,000 people there watching the plane coming in. And you think you're out of Dodge, but you're not, because you get to the hotel and there's 400 or 500 people been camped out the hotel for a couple of days.
The thing that I think keeps everybody awake at night is thinking of what you haven't done. Because the band have been around for so long, but also because of the changes in the industry, there's a phenomenal amount of detail. We're obviously covering some territories we've never been to, so there's been interesting challenges in terms of going to Korea and those Pacific Rim countries that we've never been to before.
Everything around the plane is complicated, just you don't actually just get a 757 and put your gear on and fly off.
It's all advanced work. The plane dictates what you can take. Nothing else dictates it.
Well, here we are on Ed Force One, in what would normally be 60 passengers sitting in this compartment space. The only restriction we have, really, is that everything has to be able to fit through the main doors. As long as it'll go through here, it'll go on board the aircraft.
We'll probably get a heads up of maybe a year, 9 months, something like that, as to the tours happening. And then we'll then go and have a meeting with Rod, and he'll give us maybe an album name or just a gem of an idea, which we'll then go away with and come up with some designs for the set.
The hangman will send us initial drawings of what it's going to look like. We'll move that on a bit in terms until we're all happy, then they'll do a model, and then we'll sign it off and we'll start building it.
The rest of it looks great, but he just needs to really stand out, and he doesn't. He's very
it's very flat light.
It's always the same. I don't know why, but no matter how much time we seem to have on these things, it always seems to end up being that we ain't got hardly any time at the end of it.
We're in Paris in a rehearsal room, and we just finished rehearsal for the day. We've got one more rehearsal before we head off on Final Frontier.
We circulate a copy of the set between us a couple of weeks before we actually get to rehearsal. You know you're going to be playing Hallowed Be Thy Name. You know you're going to be playing Iron Maiden. So it was just working in a couple of the new songs, really.
Yeah, I've been rehearsing for just over a week and a half now. And we've got one more tomorrow, more run through, and the new songs we're doing off the new album, sounding really good. And yeah, we're all excited to be off we go, you know.
We're feeling pretty confident, a little tentative on a few little bits here and there, but I mean that's always the way. And I think really, it's, you know, it'll take a couple of gigs before we really settle down. First one, I'd be a bit nervy as usual.
I think they can rehearse till the cows come home, but it's only when you get on stage that first night and then everything falls into place.
You find once you get out there, it's good fun, and you know, get in front of the audience and you connect with the audience again, and you find out, you know, you realise why you do it. When you're rehearsing in an empty room, you sometimes wonder why you do it, because this band just feeds off an audience, and it's, you know, that's where it comes alive.
Morning. Dreadful, isn't it? Well, here we are, on the embankment, on our way to Stansted. We're in civvies at the moment. I should be finding a phone booth and having a convenient change of clothes. You believe a man can fly. So we be on our way to Moscow shortly, which I expect will be cold.
It's all earmarked to go in the front hold, as and when I start packing it. It's a bit of a TARDIS.
This is such a unique aircraft, and it's such a unique way of touring around the world, loading it, on average, anywhere between 4 to 5 hours. I've worked with lots of other bands, A-list bands, and I don't know of another act who would take this risk and would downsize their equipment to such a level. It's a high-risk strategy in terms of the people, the aircraft, the crew. You know, everything has to slot into place, and it's a big wheel. I'm just one small cog of that.
In terms of flying, the most stressful things about flying on this particular tour are actually really not to do with the actual flying bits of it, they're to do with the administrative bits of it, because so much of planning a tour like this is down to the admin of it. There's no real slack in any of it. It's not like, oh, we can come back tomorrow and get it to work. It's got to happen exactly on those days, and it's got to happen like clockwork.
20, 10.
We're in Moscow, and it's snowing, and it's cold.
Snowing and it's getting colder. Tomorrow will be much colder, unfortunately.
You never guess where I am. 3 degrees difference, 15, 18 degrees, who cares? It's bloody freezing. But look at this, what an amazing place. First place on the tour. What can I say? Nostrovia.
How far did you come? How many miles? It's 8, 9 hours. Special for this concert. Special to meet him and special for Iron Maiden. Iron Maiden the best.
Band's been brilliant. They've all been waiting outside in the freezing cold. God knows how they do it.
We stand here since 9 o'clock in the morning.
This is it. It's the old Olympic Arena, which is a massive building. Absolutely freezing outside, minus 20 degrees. So the doors have just opened out there, and some rather cold fans will start coming into here, but I'm sure we'll warm them up. It's good to get these tours rolling. You know, we've been planning it for months and months and months, of course, and it's great to finally get everyone out on the road.
So as you just saw, we had a little run through, a little demo version of the intro. We went through a few ideas with Steve and Bruce and the rest of the guys there. I think we've got a little concept. Now we're going to put those ideas into some kind of comprehensive cue stack. So I'm not spinning plates at front of house tomorrow night on the intro. We've got about 80 odd moving lights, sort of split evenly between washes and spots. We've also got some of these great big wash lights with LED rings. They're show beams. They're really got 2.5K bulb in them. They're pretty punchy. We've got nice little LED strips around the chevrons that highlight the shapes of the truss. And we've got a good few hundred par cans thrown in just for a good measure, just to beef up the whole thing, not to mention all our audience crowd blinders and follow spots. We don't bring anything, we just bring a lighting desk, that's it. All I've got is my lighting desk and these truss borders. Every single nut, bolt, bulb, cable is all supplied locally. I have to advance all this stuff. We have a series of diagrams and equipment lists and everything else, 3D renderings and everything else you can think of, with about 30 individual lighting companies who will then kind of give me their interpretation of what I've asked, and then we have to sort of fine-tune it and end up with something resembling this every day. One of the hardest things is, no matter how much effort we put into all this and all the care and attention we put in, a big part of the show is the follow spots, and we're putting in the hands of people that I've never met before who don't really speak English and definitely haven't seen Iron Maiden before. Upstairs, and vamos. I can do it in French, Portuguese, Spanish and German, which has helped a hell of a lot, but my Russian and South Korean left a little to be... This has become a pretty busy part of the show now, right? Jesus. Getting stressed. Getting stressed, Nick.
Get the promoter to come and tell these 3 security guys that we've got to open these doors to get our stuff out.
One of the most important things to remember when you're out, especially somewhere like Moscow, at 1 o'clock in the morning at about minus 18, is to make sure you're wearing some long trousers.
But what I do want to do is make sure that the gear, that everyone's responsible to their gear. So if each department dedicates one person until that gear's locked up in the back of the truck. I mean, putting it to the dock or handing it off to Bill and the stagehands isn't good enough. I want eyes on that gear till it's locked, because as we know, like the last war.
Let's go downtown, boys.
And where else are we worried about? Jakarta's going to be, is probably, as we're all fully aware, is the show that we're having the most trouble with at the moment. And that's basically because at the moment we don't have a show.
So here we have show 2 on the Iron Maiden Around the World Tour. Last night at 9 o'clock, they tore down Eric Clapton and began to build our show.
I came down a couple of months ago and did a site visit, had a quick look around the venue, went and met the sound company, went through all the monitoring with them because they were offering me something I hadn't used before, so I wanted to listen to it. So I came down, had a day out here, which is nice, and I had to listen to the gear, which was fine. We basically carry Bruce's wedges, and we carry the drum fill, we carry the desks and everything that connects the desks together, and then the local companies supply us racks and stacks, basically amplifiers and speakers, and we have a list of what we like to use. We send that out, they send us a list back saying we don't have this, we have that system, we don't have that system, and this just goes backwards and forwards until we get to a point where everybody's happy. Then we turn up on the day and hopefully they turn up with the same gear they've told us they're going to bring us. So we're going into a venue every day using a completely different system, and we just got to make it work, and make it work so the band are happy on stage.
Well, with any luck, if we get all this right, it all plugs in on a daily basis, turns on and fires up, no problems. But that's the importance of the prep. Most of it's all about the prep work.
We supply the sound equipment that Iron Maiden use when they go on tour. There are discussions as to what's logistically possible as far as sound is concerned, moving the systems.
Usually once we've done all this in the warehouse, it works, and it's very rare we have to mess with anything. Obviously we do get things go down, mics go off, mic cables go down, channels on the multi-pins pack up. Basically I look after the whole stage end of the show, so if anything goes down, it's down to me to be able to fix it. This is my world and everybody else keeps out of it.
After today we're going to fly to Indonesia, Jakarta, and in fact probably the first time that a production of this size and a band of this size have actually played there in a long time, and that has been a challenging show. We're going to have to make the show work. Bali's a smaller venue. At the moment they don't have enough PA on the island to actually fulfill our requirements, so at the moment they're looking for more PA, and we really won't know how good that PA is until we actually get there, plug it in and make some noise through it.
We had a lot of problems up front. I didn't actually decide finally until about 2 days before we were due to arrive there that we were going to go. Dickie had to go out from Moscow early to try to put a crew together. He had to get a new production manager and almost start from scratch. I mean, I had a sleepless night about 3 nights before, wondering, are we going to do this or not?
Welcome to Jakarta, yeah!
We're from Indonesia. We love you. Up the Iron!
We're waiting. Iron Maiden come here almost 20 years.
All my friends in Indonesia, they come from every single city from different directions. They finally found their idol in here. They forget their religion, they forget their skin, they forget everything. They just want to hear and sing Iron Maiden song.
You wouldn't call this our normal stage. This is the show we've had a lot of trouble sort of getting together. Really nice people, they haven't done many shows here. The stage is made up all sorts of different steel and towers and trusses, and there's like loads of it back here. It's all rusty, it's all a little bit bent.
All this stage has got a hell of a slope on it.
I spent 2 months asking them if there's any layer scaffolding available. They told me there wasn't. This is the first thing I found when I walked into the building. Loads of it. That's the show power right there, the whole lot. Don't fall into that. That's all live. That whole thing is live. You know, obviously what we're used to is a door that's closed. When you open it, it disconnects everything, makes it safe. This is completely live, the whole lot. And if it rains, it's going to be getting wet. Standard procedure, it's a bomb dog. We're going to go ahead and check the production office for bombs, and we're doing it all over the venue. And it's serious, you know, it's a serious threat. There's no time to prepare. So there we go, the dressing rooms are safe, and we didn't find any bombs in there, which is nice to know.
Some tours go dead easy, some go a little bit awry. And as you know, in Indonesia, there were a few hiccups there.
What have you got in here? Oh my God. This isn't the same as the photograph that we sent you.
What was very heartening for me was I talked to Dickie, and a couple of days before, he's getting all very defensive about the production crew there, saying, well, they're really nice people, the most wonderful people, and they're trying really hard. From really this nightmare scenario 3 days before, then it ended out to be a pretty cracking show.
It's nice, you can't listen. I haven't been out much due to the fact someone said I might get kidnapped.
Playing in Bali was absolutely tremendous, and the feeling that they generated, a beautiful culture, beautiful nation of people there. So it really had a kind of spiritual feel about that show.
It's definitely unusual here. We don't usually play quarries, but as you can see, we've got really high walls here, so it's actually like playing in a cardboard box without a roof on top of it. So what we try to do is aim the PA so that it doesn't bounce off the walls too much, because as you can see, what's going to happen, the sound hits that wall, then it hits that wall, then it hits that wall, and then comes back at us.
I mixed the audio for Iron Maiden since December '79 for the public. I mixed the out front, they call it front of house sound. I mixed for what the audience hears. From here, I can make it sound real good, but I can't say what's happening up in that corner of the room or that part of the ballpark or whatever. So it's my job to make sure that what I'm doing here gets to all the people.
Expectations for sound these days are a lot higher. The sound systems are much, much better, and I think the audience, they listen to the sound all the time now on CDs. 10, 15 years ago it was a different story. If you sat at the back of one of these places, you didn't really expect to hear it quite so well.
So here we have the actual main PA system. We have two hangs per side for this system. One covers the main front part of the audience. Now another hang exactly the same size covers the outer part of the audience. So we have 4 delay speakers. Now where we're standing here, we're probably something like 80 to 90 metres from the PA. If you were seeing the band in a normal big arena, sports arena, you'd be at the very back at this position. If you look up to the back here, we've probably got about another 100 metres of throw to the very back. So what we do is we put in another set of speakers. We have 2 sets here that cover the very back of the arena, and then we have speakers at the side that cover the very top sides of the arena.
Seven shows in Australia. It's like a mini tour. We've taken on an Aussie crew, we've got our own lighting crew, we've got our own sound crew, we've got our own trucks for the next 7 shows, which is going to be like more like the regular touring like we do in US and Europe. We'll still be using the plane, the crew will be travelling on the plane, but all our equipment will be in the trucks.
I'll tell you the biggest problem I have right now is we're not putting equipment in the plane so that means we all have to sit in the back of the plane for takeoff because there's not enough weight. That's my biggest logistical problem. I've got 3 48-foot trucks. We carry our set in 1.5 of them. We carry extra lighting in the other half, and then we can front of house in the third one. It's pretty much a breeze to load in and out. We flew over our set, our rolling set, because we need to get out of the way on a festival situation so other bands can play in front of us.
As you can see, we're having fun with our own stage set for when we were back in Norfolk all those months ago, loading a sea container with a stage set. Well, this is it in Australia, and we're using this throughout this leg, and it saves people building one for us, which is very nice.
So much easier. It has wheels for a start. And all the backline can live in it, all the cabs and all the decorations, everything can all live in there.
Getting in here early so we can get the set here and work out how it's all going to fit in with everyone else. We got Sydney Festival tomorrow. We don't get there till 2 o'clock in the afternoon. The doors are already open, the show's already started, so we need to build our set behind a backdrop, and it's just Bill's job and the local stage manager's Dougal's to keep it organised, because really, really quickly it could turn into a complete cluster.
Festival is a festival at the end of the day. It's one of those days where you can do so much and you have to wait for all the bands to get off stage, and then you hope and pray that everything's working fine, because you haven't had that much time during the day, because obviously you haven't had the stage. Because everybody else has been on there, you just hope and pray everything's working.
We're trying to make some noise by 6 o'clock, so I've only got about an hour and 10 minutes to get it all going for Doug.
This whole last bit of the tour has been pretty elastic. Doing, say, festivals, for example, we do a back-to-back festival, we might not get there until, I don't know, 10:30, 11 in the morning, and the doors are at 2. So it's like panic. What comes off the truck first, whatever it is, go ahead and set that up.
Obviously, it's not just about ourselves today, there's an awful lot of other bands on, so it's going to be a real tough one. We could probably be here for 10, 12 hours overnight tonight just to get this stuff going. That's what we have to do.
Yeah, just waiting for these lights to go up, and then we'll bring the carts in, try and get the set built as much as we can tonight. And now this is the fun part of festivals, where we have to take certain bits of it apart and move it for the other bands to get on and off. Luckily, on this one, we're hoping we can leave the riser and the 2 backline carts.
The next problem that's created because of this is normally when we would roll these carts on, we'd have room here. But obviously today we have the structure. So where the guitar amps would live here, Sean Brady's well looked after Adrian Smith, that cart's going to come crashing straight through it. So we've got to make sure that we let everybody know, because they're going to build all their world tomorrow while we're not here. That's the thing we do in festivals. Every day we have to change a plot. Every day there's a new problem.
Here we are at Soundwave, the first day, Brisbane, 47,500, sold out a while ago. A lot of great bands. We're going to play a whole load of people we haven't played to before. We've only played Brisbane once in the last 20-odd years. That was the last time we did about 12,000 people. So there's got to be bigger than the Travellers. 30,000, I haven't seen this before, so it's going to be interesting, it's going to be fun. It's always good to play to new audience because it makes them work hard to get them into the family. Makes expecting a really good day.
Always love playing Australia. The Soundwave festivals are fantastic. Backstage was really nice, and we had, with that guy turn up with weird animals, and seeing other bands, which it's nice to do gigs with other bands. We're normally kind of quite isolated. We do our shows, we go. Nice to get the energy. There's a different energy at those festivals.
Happy birthday, dear Adrian.
Thank you very much.
Happy birthday to you.
We'll do this just for the camera, not too many more. I've still got it, mate. I've still got it.
Have a late load-in, so it's going to be rush for us tomorrow. We just land straight for the gig, and then if the trucks are there, load it in straight away. We're looking at about 1 o'clock, I believe.
come down.
The chain hook has come out the top of the piece. There's no way of lifting this up. We have to lift this up to dismantle it.
Robbie, put yourself in there, right? I'm going to send you up a rope.
There's no physical structure there. There's just the actual curtain side of the stage. And obviously working up there in the dark with no safety rails and stuff, they've got to stay clipped on to at least 2 points. If one of them guys falls, that's no rock and roll show's worth that. So yeah, literally is that classic story of safety first, mate, you know. Andy's just putting a rope across it now just so we can keep the weight of the tower. The danger is with the chain that's on it could swing about 20 foot across the stage, hits the lights, bring the lights down on everybody. So it's slowly catching monkey on this one, I'm afraid. Nobody got hurt, mate. Most important thing. Nothing else really matters today, Andy.
Yeah, serious pack up this time. We have to trim down back to our fighting weight of 12 tons. So that means our rolling set has to be packed into a sea container to go forth to England for the summer tour. And then there's the normal stuff that goes into the back of Ed Force One. So it'll be a little bit longer loadout and more breaking apart of things that normally we just throw right in the truck, use it the next day. My boys did an hour and 15-minute loadout the last show. It was really, really good.
That's good. Good night, Australia.
February the 9th, we started this part of the tour, and today we're in Adelaide. It's 6th of March, and so far it's 18,000 shots. I'm averaging about 1,000 pictures per show, and then you've got all the shots that come outside of that with the plane, with the load-ins and hotels and things like that. But at the moment it's 18,000, and my job is to edit them down to the cream of the crop, and they're the ones that go out. And we're just about to take some nice portraits of the band in front of the plane, and you would think this sort of thing would be simple, but it isn't. It involves many people clearing runways and taxiways, getting special permission to park the plane here so we haven't got a load of clutter behind it. And also we're getting the wind moved so it's blowing in the other direction, so it'll be better for the pictures. If only that was true.
We then headed to Japan, which was a really exciting time for us. We were going to do 2 shows in Tokyo. Everyone was looking forward to the shows so much, and certainly from the advance point of view, everything had gone very smoothly, and everything was in place for the 2 Tokyo shows.
We were up in the air about 10 minutes away from landing at Tokyo when they had a massive earthquake.
We don't have any further details on the earthquake at the moment, simply that obviously it's fairly serious. The whole of the airports in the region are closed, and there is no determination as to when they will be able to accept aircraft. Air traffic control, as you can imagine, is under quite some stress at the moment. We have made the decision early to go to Nagoya when we can get on the ground and find out what the situation is, put some more petrol on the aeroplane, and then see how we can resolve the situation.
We've landed now in Nagoya. A lot of airplanes all diverting. It sounds very serious. It's an 8.8 magnitude quake. Just north of Narita.
We can't get hold of anyone in Tokyo. All the phone lines are down. I got through to a landline, but there was a recorded message in Japanese, which of course I don't understand.
If there's going to be a show, I think the sensible thing at the moment for us would probably be to leave the airplane here, truck the equipment in and out if there's going to be a show. But by the sounds of it, that's sounding increasingly unlikely.
The show must go on, but we really don't know what's happening at the moment. So it's a question of do we stay here? The airports are still closed. Both airports are closed in Tokyo, so that means there's something relatively serious, and we'll figure out.
There's a rumour that there's a 20-metre tsunami. We said we do at the moment.
So here we are, you know, it's the morning after, we're still having shakes and quakes and stuff going on, aftershocks, but we're in Nagoya, you know, it's safe. We're about to get back in on our buses. We're going to head back to the aeroplane now that we've got a game plan and a decision, and we're going to fly on to Mexico and via Hawaii. Absolute fine.
Hello.
That morning, the first show was cancelled. It seemed fairly obvious as the news unfolded that the second show would be cancelled. In light of everything else, that's all pretty secondary. We just send our love and best wishes to all Japanese fans and Japanese people.
Right, so here I am just collecting the washing that I don't want to put in the dryer, just stuff that's air dried. This is my wardrobe room today. It's a bit dark and a bit messy. I just basically look after the band, as in stage clothes wise, but if they ever need anything, I'm usually to run and fetch things if they need it. And I describe this job as balancing 6 plates. So this is the lounge area. They've done a pretty good job today. It's always different every show. These are the drum heads, so I have a stash and put out 3 every show for Nico to sign so that he can throw them out at the end of the show.
It's a digital desk. It's got capabilities of 120 inputs, 30 outputs. We actually use 22 of those. There's actually 20 mixes, so everything's different. Totally different. The band want to hear certain things. If they can't hear a certain thing on the side of the stage, they'll want to listen to that. We actually go around and make sure everything's working properly, so it's all blending hopefully together. Then I get the guys to actually make some noise.
We can't bring a lot of our cases, trunks and things, so all the guitars, keyboards have to travel separately. I had to clear out about 1/3 of my work box to make space for other people and to get the weight down. I think the best way to talk about things with Steve is there's very little to say, which is how he prefers it. But I've been with him a long time. I pretty much anticipate what he might be wanting.
He knows more about my gear than I do, and I'm lost without him. He also plays keyboards, as most people know.
I don't actually consider myself to be a keyboard player as such, but I can do the stuff that Maiden requires, and some of it's not simple.
Here's the Annex rig. We've got all sorts of things in there. We've got wireless. He uses wireless on a couple of songs like Iron Maiden, where we like to do swing the guitar around his head. This is a Pete Cornish unit. It's got pedals built into it, and I control the pedals from here.
Justin Garrick, the man who looks after all my gear, does a fantastic job. He puts all the things together and he fixes the guitars, fixes the amps, and there's a lot of fixing to be done.
So on tour we have to bring spares for everything. I mean, even on this tour I've changed a pickup on this tour. Volume pots, things like this go when, you spin them around, throw them, sweat gets in them. So all these things get changed out, so we have spares. It's not a daily thing, but it's things that may happen once on a tour.
And he's a very, very competent guy. And not only that, he's worked with Ronnie Wood, he's worked with Razor Light. He's a tremendous asset to Iron Maiden, and I'm really thankful that we found him.
Welcome to my world. My name is Sean Brady, and I'm Adrian Smith's butler.
I rely on Sean a lot because my setup is not very high tech.
Did you store it already?
So, if I'm taking a solo, for example, Sean usually punches my effects in. There's also a question of, the less wiring you have on stage, the better the sound.
It's a 100-watt amplifier, of course, not a 50, and not even 101, because we don't go to 11 here. As you can see, we only go to 10. We've looked into 11, but it has been patented by a certain other English rock band.
Yeah, Sean puts up with my my moods, and you know, when things aren't going well, and calms me down a bit, and we have a good rapport, you know.
Usually I have masses of gear. You never know what you're going to need, but you know, we work it out down to pretty much the nearest amount of strings we're going to need.
Colin, my guitar tech, has been absolutely tremendous. We've been with me now for a few years, and we have a great working relationship. He kind of knows what the sound I'm looking for.
Everybody keeps coming along and making notes of all the perfect Davey tone, and I just keep doing that because none of them work.
We're up there to do a job and to play, but then at the same time, though, you know, we have a laugh.
The difference is I have 6 flight cases. We were doing normal tour with trucks in Europe and America. On this, I've got, I think it's 26 pieces.
Charlie's been with me now for, I can't remember, 8 years, something like that, maybe 9. He's fantastic drum tech. He's the only drum tech I've ever had that I allowed to tune my drums for me. I showed him how I tuned them, and tone-wise, difference between each drum.
The tuning's got to be bang on, and when you've got 9 toms, it's just quite difficult. And the cymbals, just the angles of everything, he notices everything. He'll sit there sometimes, just close his eyes and just do this with a stick, and he'll straight away, because you're talking a couple of millimetres.
But it really is very essential, because it's like a precision instrument, my drum kit. If one part of it's out, the whole thing's completely... I'll sit there, and if one thing is out on this side of the drum, the time you get up here, it's way out of position. But Charlie is very, very good.
Oh, yeah! Great audience, phenomenal. This is for the people in Japan tonight.
When I stand and look about the port and contemplate my life.
We're in Monterrey, Mexico. It's really early o'clock in the morning. We're basically out of bed at 4:30 after a great show last night. By the time we loaded and got to bed, it was 1 o'clock in the morning. So you do the math. It's about 3 hours sleep for some. We're lucky.
You know, it's tough because you're doing lots of flights. The crew sleep less than probably we do, but, you know, they just try and cram in a bit of sleep here and there. You find odd guys lying across flight cases and things like that, just trying to grab a couple of hours sleep here and there. It's just quite tough on them.
So we arrived here yesterday, arrived late last night from Lima, Peru on Ed Force One. Came in early this morning. We've got gear coming from all over. We've got the big Eddies coming on the sea container from the UK. We had towers that we flew air freight over from Australia. We have the boat that's back out, and we have some other bits and pieces. So it's a full production Maiden show, hence the extra day. We also have our moving motors, which is, we have parts of the lighting rig move, sort of give it that spaceship effect. You know, we don't have the luxury of using that everywhere we go, basically because the technology that you need to use it's not available everywhere. You just can't get it, and it's quite costly to fly it around, but we do have it for these big shows.
We've been going through this tour with basic set and 6 drapes, but there's 4 shows here: Sao Paulo, Rio, Chile and Argentina, which will put a full show in, which includes 2 other drapes. We've got the Devil Goat and, of course, the Big Eddie at the back.
Big Eddie is in those 2 cars.
Big Eddie is a one-off, bespoke, great big fiberglass and metal structure. It comes together in the 2 biggest boxes you've ever seen in your life.
Going to places that on a normal routing tour you would never ever go to. You'd fly over, and so we find ourselves in places like Belém in North Brazil, just on the edge of the rainforest, and my goodness, did it rain.
They don't call it the rainforest for nothing, I suppose. This is the second day of actual rain we've had. Pretty typical for this area, although a little stronger than normal, we've been told. You know, it builds up, all the heat comes out of the jungle, moisture comes into the air, and then about 2:30 in the afternoon it all falls out again, and today it's falling on top of us. So anyway, loads of plastic, loads of sweeping, trying to keep the equipment dry, lots of mosquitoes, dengue fever, torrential rains. So yeah, definitely beats a 9-to-5 job, I can tell you that much.
Amazonian Indian Abbey.
We're about 3.5 hours away from doors, and there's some more thunder, and it'll be another great show tonight. You know, it's going to be packed out. Really excited Brazilian fans have not seen Maiden yet in this area. In fact, very few bands have actually been up this way, so that adds some extra excitement for some lifelong Maiden fans that are going to get to see them for the first time up here in the Amazon Basin, in the jungles of Brazil.
Somebody who will remain nameless decided to film a new DVD in Santiago and Buenos Aires due to the fact of the good crowd reactions and such. All the logistics were put together, months and months, sea containing out the Big Eddy, air freighting in the towers, extra drapes.
We did Rock in Rio, but it just seemed the turn to go further south.
6 o'clock in the morning we got up, and as you can see it's still dark, looks more like the end of a loadout than a load-in. Yeah, early start today, big show. Crews have been at it all night, we were down here yesterday. Yeah, this is Chile's national stadium. They were going to pull it down, but then they decided to keep it as a monument to all the people that were killed in here by Pinochet. This is one of the places where he executed thousands of people. They reckon up to 100,000 people were killed in his during his dictatorship. That was not that long ago, 1973. But we're here for something a bit more lively.
It can be quite distracting. You've got, I think maybe there was 20 or 30 cameras. Every note, move you make's being recorded, but you just got to try and forget about it.
Because there's limited space on the plane, we have quite a small and compact and sophisticated recording system which takes feeds from the front desk, and we record everything digitally, and then we have a few other 7 or 11 different microphones around to capture the audience. The audience is an integral part of the Maiden experience. I mean, the audience is something else. They sing every song, every lyric. It's something to see. The Santiago crowd is particularly animated. 60,000 people, and I don't think there was anyone that wasn't singing along with them.
Here we are, we're about to launch off into sort of murky Chile towards Puerto Rico. Out of here, obviously, 7 hours and 16 minutes flight plan going to Chile, going over the Andes pretty much straight away.
Speed of the beast.
Because of the size of the Iron Maiden shows, screens are a really important part of the production. We use a total of 8 cameras, 4 main cameras looking at all the band members, which you have to direct and cue. We carry 3 mini cameras of our own, which go on Nico. There is one camera, which of course Eddie has, which gives us a good show to the screens. We're here in Puerto Rico, 3 shows from the end. We've had some interesting challenges along the way with language barriers. With a lot of these countries, you get what you're given, and some of the kit I've seen has been hysterical. I mean, it's like early 80s, so you do have to take the rough with the smooth.
This has been slightly easier here in Puerto Rico. It's been a very good meeting. We have had pretty interesting ones in South America, but this is a good one, and I've got a feeling about the show tonight.
So to do 2 shows in Florida was great, and to finish off in Tampa, we hadn't been for 20 years or so. Capped off the tour well. I think at the end everyone was pretty well about time to go home.
And we're back in America now. We've been through Chile again, which was a fantastic gig. We've done Puerto Rico, and now we're in Florida doing the last 2 gigs, and it's been an absolutely fantastic tour.
It's not been means, but for some strange reason doing it on Air Force One magnifies everything. You really are living in a fishbowl. You spend time with everybody every day for months on end when you're on tour. Time zone to time zone, different languages, different cultures. Every day the equipment's different, and we're all trying to make the show look and sound the same.
It's been great. It's been really good. Spirits have been high. I think the band's enjoyed it as well.
All in all, I've had a blast. We're still standing. You know, it might have aged a little bit, maybe a few chinks in the armour. Every night has been absolutely tremendous, you know, and it's hard to determine one night was better than another because they're all great.
With all the pre-work, the money, the agreements, the hotels being provided, which hotels, when can you land, when can... With all that pre-work, to actually make the tour work, it's the crew who make it work.
We've got a good, really fantastic crew, and they all know what's needed. They're all trying their hardest to get the show looking the best it can be, and that's all we can ask of anybody, really.
Yeah, we're all mates. We all watch each other's backs in difficult situations. As part of what it takes to be in a killer crew, I'm sure it's what makes us the best.
So, you know, we're all very loyal to Maiden because they are to us. It really is like one big family. I wouldn't say one big happy family all the time.
There we go. This'll learn you.
To put that amount of people together is quite a contrived scenario, but when you think about it, it's like any other regular family, but we're not related. We're related through rock and roll.
When I stand before you shining in the early morning sun, when I feel the engines roar and I think of what we've done.
It's been a great tour. I've done a lot of miles, time for a break, recharge the batteries, and get home and put a few shelves up, bit of paint and decorate.
It's the longest we've ever done, actually. It felt like a really, really long time to be away. Considering the first one was not much more than 6 weeks, extra 3 weeks, you know.
It's equivalent to 50,000 miles. We've been around the planet twice in a couple of months. You know, obviously we've spent a lot of it in South America. Whenever you go back, although we've been to a lot of these places before, it always feels new. And then so especially the audiences as well. They seem to be getting younger.
Nothing's perfect in this world, and you know, we try to be the best you can be. But at the end of the day, I think we've gone out there and we've done the best we can in the given circumstances with quite a lot against us on this tour. Yeah, we're on a private plane, but the distances are like, you know,